And to be honest, I haven't had any problems with resolution yet. So, I mean, I'm sure I'll test them at some point. Yeah, so Chris Webber, farm here, Hindon Organic Farm. We farm about 500 acres in byland and about 1,500 acres of moorland. And we run an organic beef and lamb enterprises. So we're organic and pasture-based, and we're assurance as well. So we have quite a lot of audits on the farm. So just being able to get all that data in one place, so it's nice and simple to get hold of and be able to pull up when I need it during the audits was what I was looking for, really. I love the mapping sequences anyway. Being able to use those maps are really simple. The app works in the same way as a lot of like kind of social media apps that you see now. The layout's very similar. So if you've got a vague idea of how to use that, you can be running on resolution really quickly. And then the copy feature is probably the one that I use the most. I use that all the time. So we run a mob grazing system. So this is set up, and this will be one that I just copy a lot. Yeah, so this will all be part of the mob grazing system. So this is the field we're in right now, dry meadow. And you can see that I've kind of set up my permanent fences. So these points here, nice and simply, that's my permanent fences. And then when you zoom in, you can see all my temporary fences coming off.
And then when you've got your movements, you just copy this record.
Yeah.
That's got it all mapped, and highlight your field that...
Yeah, just highlight the correct package so I know exactly where they are, which paddock they're in at different times.
Yeah.
And I've got those records whenever I need them. Yeah, so just being able to find that data so quickly, being able to search for the records using those tags, it just makes everything really easy to pull the data back out when I need it quickly. Being able to create new tags all the time, you know, I'm putting on new tags pretty much daily. We've kind of just taken on a couple of new contract grazing areas. So just being able to set up a new tag for those areas means that when I go back to those landlords and they want to know what I've been doing on those bits of grass, when I've put cattle on, when I've taken cattle off, and which cattle I've used, I can just flick onto that tag and show them nice and quickly exactly all the details that they need for those contract grazing agreements. If I'm looking for a record, searching for a record, I can just flick on the tags button here. So say I'm on an audit and I need to know exactly when some seeding was done on the farm. I know that my contractor is Tom Babbage, he would have done the seeding. So I can click straight on Tom Babbage, go to done, and it brings up all of the bits that he will have done. And then straight away, I've got, he was here drilling peas and barley, into which field he was in, and I've got the date and exactly when he was here and when it was done.
So if you clicked on that, you could actually see on the map which field it was in.
Yep, so I click straight to the field. So I think just that organisation of the data makes it really simple for me. And yeah, when we come to those audits, those inspections, being able to find that data and show that to the inspectors straight up nice and quickly, it's just going to reduce that time I've got to spend sitting in a room with a guy who just needs to see some data. I can just throw it out there nice and quickly for him. The other thing that I find really good is just being able to create those maps. So making sure I've got those maps set up, like the grazing plans, I can make them, and then I can use those out in the field to set up my fences, etc. So these fences will run, this is all mapped on resolution as well, so this will be part of the same mob grazing system. Yeah, with the diary, I was having to make sure that when I went in the evening, it would take me kind of half hour, 45 minutes just to get everything written down. Then if I had like a really busy day, probably miss doing the diary. And once you've done a couple of days, you kind of forget what you've done over those days. Say, I was probably missing bits and pieces. Now with resolution, I could just chuck it straight on when I'm doing the job. It's nice and easy, it's always there and I don't miss anything.
Yeah, no, it's definitely given us more time, and easily probably an hour.
Yeah, it's probably an hour a day that I'm not sitting down in the office just putting on bits and pieces into a diary. Like I say, as well as that, it's definitely the not missing bits and pieces. So if you get a busy time like lambing, calving, haymaking, you know, you're working long hours anyway. So when you get back in the house, the last thing you want to do is sit down and do paperwork. So if it's already there, I don't have to worry about it and I don't miss everything. Resolution, we're on it.